Republicans were layering on the tough questions for Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas for failing to handle the disaster at our southern border, a blistering indictment from GOP lawmakers.
This administration has abandoned any semblance of border security and immigration enforcement, and Americans are paying the price, and they demand accountability.
Is it your responsibility or President Biden's responsibility to make sure there is operational control?
Congressman,
these are not hard questions.
You've taken this app and you've digitized illegal immigration and you've scaled it to the moon. Like this app that you've got everybody downloading is like the Disney Fast Pass into the country.
We have a national security crisis and you sit in here and saying, looking at us with very smiley face, it's unacceptable.
I showed you before when you were here, the lost voices of fentanyl, the hundreds, the thousands of Americans that continue to die, 90,000 since you came into this committee and lied to us saying we have operational control.
Well, there he is there, border state Republican Congressman Chip Roy from the great state of Texas, member of Judiciary, Budget, and Rules Committees. Great to have you in focus today. First of all, I want to talk with you about the emotion in the room yesterday and how you personally went after Mayorkas. Are you any closer to Republicans impeaching him?
Well, first of all, good to be on, Harris. And look, this is emotional. It is personal. I represent Texans who have lost their loved ones, family members, to fentanyl. Moms that I meet with regularly who have lost their children to fentanyl. Stephanie Turner, who lost her son, Tucker, just last 2 years ago. Then started an organization to combat fentanyl in Texas. 53 migrants died in a tractor trailer in San Antonio. You and I have talked about that before. We're feeling it every single day, and this administration is now not just leaving us stranded. They're actually taking part in the human trafficking train that The Sound of Freedom exposed for everybody to see in the movie. And they are now actually combating and fighting Governor Abbott for daring to try to do what they refused to do. Yesterday's hearing was designed to expose that this secretary, this president, are both violating their oaths to the Constitution, ignoring the laws that they are supposed to faithfully uphold to defend America. They are doing it knowingly. And then in the case of Alejandro Mayorkas, he lied to us under oath in the Judiciary Committee, stating that he had operational control of the border, smirking when he said it. He said it over and over and over again. I showed him that yesterday. I read through the testimony. He had no response except to say, "You didn't give me time." That wasn't true, as the record shows. So every Republican should be on notice that they shouldn't hide behind the Constitution. They should actually enforce the Constitution in this case and use the tools the founders gave us that James Madison wrote about in Federalist 58. It is time to remove Alejandro Mayorkas. But more than that, it's now time to not give a single dollar in the appropriations process or in a continuing resolution to the Department of Homeland Security until they pass H.R. 2, remove Mayorkas, and pay back Texas for the $10 billion Texas had to spend to do the job the feds won't do.
Yeah, I mean, predicating it on their funding, that's going to get some attention. Again, I ask the question, are you any closer to impeaching Mayorkas? And would you need more than the majority that you have now among Republicans in the House to start the House portion of that?
More Republicans have come to the understanding and the realization that he indeed has committed high crimes and misdemeanors by virtue of not following the duty.
Who doesn't think that among Republicans?
There are a handful who are still holding on to, I think, an outdated perspective, and they're hiding behind the Constitution rather than enforcing it. Wow. So we're going to go forward. The numbers are getting close. But the main thing to remember is I'm going to throw every ounce of my being to stop any continuing resolution and any funding of the Department of Homeland Security. Our leadership, Republicans, should be on notice. This is not going to go easily. We're going to secure the border, or we're going to damn well grind this place to a halt until they do.
All right, well, part of the fight, and you listed it in there in terms of remuneration for the state of Texas. Yep. I mean, getting that money back. Here's where some of it is going. The Justice Department has just filed a request for a preliminary injunction against your state. They want to look at the river barriers and having them removed within 10 days while the case is being litigated. Congressman, you and some of your fellow Texas Republicans responded earlier this morning. I want my audience to watch.
I have a message for our governor of the great state of Texas. Governor Abbott, stay the course. Stand your ground.
Every Texan is sick and tired of a federal government abandoning its duty to secure the border, leaving Texans exposed to death, destruction,
I stand behind Governor Abbott being as aggressive as he needs to be to defend the people of Texas, period, full stop.
National Border Patrol Council Vice President John Ampherson, who I was with when I was at the border several months ago, was in focus this week. Here's what he said about the Biden administration and how it's making things worse.
It's really aggravating that when the White House decides to finally do something, it's to go after a state that's actually trying to do something at the border to pick up the slack that the federal government's not doing.
You have done pretty much everything you could do in your state. And the fentanyl, I know you've got that lab in one of your cities. You're doing everything you can. And the government does what?
Well, the federal government stands in the way. And let me just say about John, he's a good man. I'm glad you met with him. And he's representative of the lion's share, almost every single member of the Border Patrol who are trying to carry out their duty and to do their job. But it is Mayorkas and the head, the leadership at the Department of Homeland Security and the president who stand in their way. And the governor and Department of Public Safety in Texas, they're trying to go down and do the job that these patriots in Border Patrol are being prohibited from doing. And so we're going to keep doing it in Texas. And in Congress, the Texas delegation, my friends here, the Freedom Caucus, I hope the entire Republican conference will stand behind Governor Abbott, stand behind Texas, stand up for the American people, stand against cartels, stand against this abuse of immigrants in the false name of compassion, and do it now. But that is the marker we have to lay down. Enough. We've had it. It is time to win again for this country.
Congressman, I'm going to move to the next topic. You and I will no doubt follow up on what we've been talking about now, because I see it more than ever in you. You are trying to galvanize people to do what you say is the right thing as the nation watches. Our sovereignty just being given away, as Representative Matt Gaetz said.
Amen.
Like a Disney free pass to get in and ride everything for free and fast. Dodge, divert, deflect. Democrats dismissing any talk of an impeachment inquiry into President Biden over his ties to Hunter Biden's foreign deals, allegedly. Republicans pointing to evidence such as the IRS whistleblower testimony, that criminal FBI documents suggesting a bribery scheme, and much more. But the left still says there's nothing to see here.
No showing of President Biden actually engaged in any wrongdoing. Why would we want to impeach him when there's no wrongdoing?
Well, if there was actual evidence, of course, but there is no evidence.
There's no real evidence that the president was involved in this.
There's no reason for an impeachment inquiry. This is simply a way that they get behind Donald Trump.
It's not that Democrats don't have evidence. It's the Republicans don't have evidence. They want to do an impeachment without evidence. That's the problem.
The White House press secretary essentially shooing away multiple reporters' questions on the topic. Let's watch.
Speaker McCarthy's impeachment inquiry comments, he seems to be making the point that he thinks there's been enough mounting evidence to at least have an inquiry on this.
I've already spoken to this twice before that.
Congressman, your reaction?
Well, I got to say, watching my Democratic colleagues who 4 years ago were all too happy to jump into the water to impeach Donald Trump over a phone call start to say, wait a minute, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing going on with President Biden. What evidence is there? Let me just ask a question for the average American out there. If you're making $100 and something thousand a year as a public servant for 40, 50 years, how on earth do you have a multi-million-dollar mansion in Delaware? How on earth do you live among the elite and the most wealthy in this country if you were a public servant your whole life? And don't tell me that's all Jill Biden. We know what is going on. The American people's eyes are very clear. We're seeing it. We know what Hunter Biden has been up to. The whistleblowers are bringing forward evidence. And Congressman Jordan, the Judiciary Committee, and Jamie Comer over at Oversight are looking into all of this. And I believe that we'll be able to present a case to the American people this fall. But I'll obviously defer to those two great chairmen in putting that case together.
Congressman Chip Roy from the great state of Texas. Always great to have you in focus. Thank you very much.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.